Hello ladies and gentlemen, Xcentauri here and welcome back to another YouTube video. Now before I do start the video, again I just want to let everyone know that I have been in and out of the doctors and hospital with second degree burns down my leg, which is why I haven't been replying to as many messages in the comment sections as I usually would be able to, and due to my lack of activity in the Discord server. Okay, you can join that as well if you're not in the Discord server. There's a link in the description. Now in today's video, we will be looking at how to do a flight plan or a more realistic flight plan in Infinite Flight. Now, for some reason, my iPad is being really laggy today, and I'm not too sure why. So it's quite annoying. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bop down the settings because we don't need high graphics. I'm just going to put it on low settings, and hopefully that smooths everything up for us. We are also at London Heathrow, which probably isn't helping us. So the first kind of flight plan we're going to use, we're going to be using these little tracks, which are the transatlantic tracks, which you use to cross the Atlantic realistically in Infinite Flight. So what we're going to do, so the first thing I always do is I state my departure airport, which is here, London Heathrow. And then if you tap onto the airport thing and go to procedures, it says up at the top, select approach, arrival and departure. Now these are quite important procedures. And these are also known as your SIDs and stars. I think SID is standard instrument departure and star is standard something arrival. I'm just going to Google what they stand for, and then I will let you know once that searches. So we're obviously for the SID and stars we're going to be using here. So your SIDs and stars basically have to be followed by all airports in and out of airports. So yeah, so SID is standard instrument departure, and stars is basically the arrival one, which, so someone can let me know what that stands for, hopefully down below. Oh, I just found it. I found it, but I've lost it. Standard terminal arrival procedures. So stars are what you use on arrival. So because we're, anyway, on our flight plan, we're headed out over here to across the Atlantic, we're going to want something sort of heading northish. So we want to go sort of northwest, if out of any of them, or even west will work as well. So we're going to use the northwest one, and we're going to, just because I would like personally to clear the traffic as soon as possible. So what I then normally do is I'd select just a nearby waypoint near the runway. You don't always have to do that. Some people don't, some people prefer not to, but it makes it easier if you go straight onto the LNAV. So then you add that on, and now we've got our departure. Now, it is worth noting, some people do use flight plan makers, which you can get online, but I find it a little bit more fun to make it myself. So then the next thing I do is I will just add on a few points just along the way towards where I want to go, and making sure they're relatively, decently spaced, maybe a bit closer normally. And we're going to aim for track B, so we want to really sort of come up here. Sometimes I do a bit of sightseeing, so we've got the Isle of Man here, maybe I want to have a look at that, for example, so I'll fly right over it, and that would be a good photo point. And then I will just see up here, I see there's a nearby airport, and there's normally some waypoints near the airports. Funny enough, I've chosen like the only airport which doesn't have any. So there's some there which we can use, and there'll be some up here. So that'll probably be our last place before B. And then literally, you just add Oceanic Track B, and your device just adds the whole track on for you. And then we're going to head down here, and I'm just going to choose, again, another nearby airport. It will generally take a few seconds for all your waypoints to load, but you can see on the left, and where we've got all our SIDs here, so our departures, these lead us onto our track across the Atlantic. And then once we end the Atlantic, we're just going to look for any waypoint in the area. I did see one up there, and we'll just use that one. So let's imagine we're headed to New York City, and we'll go to, let's go to Boston because it's a nice place. I'm just going to see and just check now that there are arrival and departures. There's plenty of arrivals and approaches for us to use into Boston. So what you can do now is slowly, like I did over here, just add on a lot of little checkpoints, waypoints for you to do. But I'm going to be a bit lazy. I'm going to use a little bit of bigger gaps, which some people again prefer. I've just realised there's an A340 in the corner of our screen. Not very often you see one of them flying in infinite flight. So there's a little waypoint there, and I want another one about here-ish as well. So hopefully I'll find one if I move about. There we go. A few more here. So that's perfect. So as you can see, what we've done so far, you know, we've gone up above the Atlantic and we're now coming down on our track. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to see this one here. Is there a checkpoint or a waypoint along here? It'd be quite useful. There we go. We'll just choose the first one we find. Now I'm going to go to here. And basically we're not far from Boston now. So what I want to do, now we're, you know, within range of Boston, we're going to find the arrival. And we're coming from really the northwest area, but for some reason this is southeast, but I suppose it does cover southeast. So we'll select that, and what we want is this one, which is called AJ, which is luckily the top one, and we're going to select that, and then we need to decide what runway we want to land at. So you obviously decide this beforehand, but I'm looking for runway, let's go 22 left. So that's the nice long one along there. I don't actually know what one they use, but we're going to use 22 left. So not 22B. I'd imagine 22B for both. So we're on our approach. Now I'm going to get rid of that last one there. And what this has allowed us to do is we're still on our star for approach. And now what we want is our arrival. So our arrival one will connect, it's our approach, sorry, should quite nicely connect. Now basically what you do on the left hand screen here, you just select 22 left, which is the runway I have decided to land on, and we're going to add to flight plan, and it automatically adds to your flight plan, and hopefully the destination is down there too as Boston. So that is now our complete flight plan. So we're going from London Heathrow up along the track and down through the United States and then here into Boston. Now there are a few pros and cons. Of course you've lost a lot of realism here with the fact that it's just, you know, you've not really used the flight plan maker, but again you've spent 10 minutes here making a custom flight plan. Now all of these altitudes you may have noticed are all preset for you, so the ones on takeoff on your SIDS are not actually working with VNAV. So you've got to do a bit of manual control to try and keep, you know, the altitude right for these checkpoints or waypoints, whatever you like to call them. But then once you're at cruise altitude, press the VNAV button, which is, I'll just show you where it is. It's right there. It's that one on autopilot, and it will sort your descent out for you, and you don't even need to worry. All you've got to worry about is your speed, and it will literally do you all the way through these. And these get you on the perfect, you can even use VNAV up until literally on short final there. So that is a perfect way to do your flight plan. Now another way to do it is if my iPad's going to work, and I'm just going to go over here and just get Safari. And I'm going to find us a flight plan maker. So I believe it's the flight plan database I've used. And we'll just do the exact same thing for infinite flight. We go into EGLL to KBOS, so, you know, same route, and hopefully that someone has already made us a route. So it is still loading, so it does take a little while to load, unfortunately, or I'll just have to do it again. EGLL KBOS search. There, look, so there's plenty of routes here you can see. They're all very different routes, they're all very different lengths, so we'll just click on this one. We want it for infinite flight. So you've got to press on the infinite flight thing because there's loads of different flight simulators here. And look, it's done it all for us. So you're going to copy this, press copy. And if you're, again, wanting to use that, you're just going to literally go back into here. We'll just clear our flight plan. I'm pretty sure you just paste it here. And you go, okay. And it should in theory work. So we're going to just add that to our flight plan. and you now have again a flight plan from one of the websites. So that's how you do it if you're using a flight plan. If you're in a rush and you want a really quick flight plan, that's your best thing to do. So I'll leave a link to flight plan database down in the description, but that's obviously the best thing to use. But other than that, if you merely helpful, please let me know down below and like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Good night.